everybody, and welcome and thank you all so much for joining us in our 18th episode of How Well Are You, the talk show. We are moving right along. So, here we are committed to dismantling the stigma associated with mental illness. As I always say, one episode at a time. It is World Mental Health Day, and the theme for World Mental Health Day 2023 is mental health is a universal human right. In other words, this subject emphasizes the necessity of assuring that everyone, regardless of age, socioeconomic class, or background, should have access to high quality mental health care and support. So, what perfect timing for this evening's episode to be held on World Mental Health Day. Now, in this evening's episode, we're going to be diving into how a positive mindset can affect your mental wellness. Our guest was here a few weeks ago and there were some technical difficulties, but we are determined not to be outdone. So he is coming back and we're going to get this thing done. I'm Cynthia Mobley Howell, your host, and I'm the driving force behind How Well Are You? As the founder and CEO, I'm dedicated to guiding you on a transformative journey towards achieving your optimal well-being in every dimension. That is spiritually, mentally, yes, and physically. Our mission is to empower you, ensuring that you emerge as the best version of yourself. How Well Are You? The talk show places a special focus on the topic of mental well-being. I am actually thrilled to announce the release of my latest book, Crazy Didn't Get Me, Preparation for My Destiny. Now, this deeply personal work explores my upbringing in a household where my three siblings, my only siblings, y'all, were profoundly affected by a severe mental illness, and it chronicles my journey of resilience and survival. I say, this is my story. This is my truth. The book is available in both paperback and ebook formats. It's available right now, and you can purchase your copy directly from my website, and that is cynthiamobleyhowell.com, as well as from various book retailers. So don't miss out on the opportunity to be inspired by this powerful story. I've been getting some amazing reviews and feedback. They tell me it's a page turner. They tell me they can't put it down. So I'm going to believe what they say. So go ahead and get your copy today and just plunge into a transformative reading experience. And I want to thank you all for joining us each week as we explore all aspects of mental health. We leave no stone unturned. We fearlessly tackle every topic. So, again, in this evening's episode of our talk show, we're going to address how a positive mindset can empower you in your mental wellness. And if you're catching the replay, feel free to comment, leave a comment, and just put in the comment, actually, hashtag replay rather. And know that your presence is valued, even if you're tuning in after the live session. I'm absolutely loving this journey that we're on together as we encourage others to understand and have compassion for those who are navigating the complexities of mental well-being. Because, y'all, this mind is deep. As the National Black College Fund or something used to say, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. We ain't trying to waste no more good minds, right? So go ahead. Hit the share button because we want everyone to know we're here right now. Your love and support means so much to us, and we want to hear from you. And don't hesitate to express your thoughts in the comments section. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming a truly remarkable guest. I'm sorry, he is just like a favorite of mine. I call him my little brother. I feel like he's a little brother to me, and he's just so. Anthony is just so articulate and he's just so, as we used to say back in the day, he's just so smart. You know, he's just as smart as a whip. And it's just such a pleasure to have him as our guest this evening to share his expertise and to offer valuable insights on our chosen topic. This enlightening conversation, I know it's going to leave a lasting impact. So, again, go ahead, tag someone, click that share button so that others can reap the benefits of the valuable insights we're about to uncover together. Let's go ahead and spread the knowledge and make a positive impact on more lives. So, without further ado, let me just introduce my remarkable guest to you. Anthony Joshua, a life coach and licensed clinical therapist, has gained extensive experience through his bi-coastal lifestyle, diverse work environments, and global clientele. With a deep dedication to personal growth, Anthony takes immense pride in coaching individuals on enhancing their current life situations. His unwavering commitment lies in guiding clients towards the peace they rightfully deserve and assisting them in unlocking the life they aspire to achieve. So, come on, everybody. Let's extend a very warm welcome to none other than Anthony Joshua. Hey, Anthony.
No, Cynthia. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you again, too. No, I don't want nobody coming in these comments talking about there's an echo. Now, y'all just don't be
Oh,
talking about there's no echo today because we don't want to hear that.
no. And you know what? It doesn't sound like there is. So we're going to go through this very smoothly today.
Absolutely. I love that positive mindset.
Exactly. It's
So,
necessary.
yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. So let's just get right in. Speaking of, let's talk about a little bit, share with me your thoughts on the whole idea of World Mental Health Day. What does as a wellness coach, a mental wellness coach, what exactly does that mean to you, Anthony?
So when we think about world, we think about global, right? We think about one. We think about uni, one, right? Universe. So all of us coming together collaboratively to celebrate and honor mental health. We know that there's so much stigma around mental health. We know that it could be frowned upon. We know that there are many cultures who don't maybe believe in it or necessarily subscribe to mental health. But today is a very special day because it is World Mental Health Day, where it's being taken into consideration by the entire world. So we are doing more work and putting forth more effort to break the stigma, to normalize those conversations around mental health, and to let people know that it's okay and they do not need to struggle alone despite their upbringing, their cultural background, and some of the stigmas that come with mental health.
Wow. I love that. And I like how you use that term uni because at the end of the day, we all bleed red. And
Yeah.
when it comes to mental health, it matters not, as we said, your economic background, your race, your gender. It doesn't matter. But all of us are affected because all of us have, and you probably can put this in better words, we're all mental beings, if you will, for lack of a better way of putting it. One of the aspects of our tripartite being, which we are tripartite beings made up of spirit, soul, and body. Our soul being our mental, our emotions, our mind, where all of that stuff resides. So it's universal, like you said. It's like we're saying, mental wellness is a universal language. So I love the way that you broke that down. So when we talk about a positive mindset, Anthony, and promoting mental well-being in our daily lives, can you share with us some practical strategies or techniques that we can use to cultivate that positive mindset?
Well, yes. But Cynthia, I do want to just start by maybe defining what a mindset is, right? So simply put, a mindset is your established ways of thinking and your beliefs. And that usually comes into formation during our child rearing years, right? When we're coming up, our caregivers, the things that they are instilling in us through repetition, right? The messages that we are consistently receiving over a period of time. That typically forms in us a set of beliefs, a set of values, and an understanding about the world around us. As we get older, we might find that those beliefs, those values are challenged by society, by our experiences, right? And so now we find ourselves in conflict when something that we've been taught, something that we've believed doesn't necessarily align with what we're going through in real time. And so we might find that we have to let go of old values or old beliefs as we grow up and develop and gain new life experiences. And that includes shifting our mindset, right? So when it comes to some tools that could support us in shifting our mindset, there are tools such as affirmations, right? And an affirmation is a self-empowering statement. They could typically be I am statements, right? I am confident, I am strong, I am worthy. Or they could be goal oriented, right? I'm going to have a great day. I will be successful. And so repetition is one way that you impress your subconscious mind. And again, your subconscious mind is your hard drive. It's your programming. You say these affirmations over and over again, it increases the likelihood that it's going to impress your subconscious mind. It's going to increase the believability of these messages. Now, when it comes to repetition, that's just a way that you impress your subconscious. So even if you've been told a lie over and over again, you tell that lie to yourself enough times, it has the opportunity to make an impression on your subconscious and you can increase that believability. Same thing applies with the positive self-affirming statements, right? You tell it to yourself enough, you might tend to believe it. So it's this thing called a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? When I think of what I'm explaining, I think of hip hop culture and how a lot of rap artists and hip hop artists say that their teachers told them that they weren't going to be anything. And if they believe that, then that would be them becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But they had a belief in themselves so strong that they superseded what they were told by their teachers, right? So affirmations is one way, right? You repeating something to yourself as a way to increase the believability of it, right? It's something that you want to align with. You want to be unstoppable. You want to be strong. You want to feel worthy. You say that to yourself. You say it to yourself enough times, you start to believe it. And then not only do you start to believe it, you start to embody it. And when you start to embody it, you start to navigate through life with that belief system. Now it's being manifested throughout your actions, right? You're acting unstoppable. You're behaving as if you're worthy. And what you find is that the universe aligns itself to get you that very thing that you say that you are. Should I continue?
Continue.
All right. So affirmations is one tool that you can use to just help shift your mindset and increase that believability in yourself. Another one is cognitive reframes. So for instance, if we have been told that we're not worthy, right? We know that through life we're going to go through ups and downs. We're going to have instances when things do not go our way, but we can't have that define our worldview or who we are as individuals just because something doesn't go our way. So we have to be able to look at it through a different lens, right? We have to put a cognitive reframe on it, shift the thinking, shift the perspective about whatever it is that didn't go our way. So I like to say that rejection is one of humans' greatest fears, right? Rejection. We are wired for connection. So if we feel rejected, then we're not included. We're not able to make that connection. And that could make us feel bad about ourselves. But I like to say that rejection is just simply redirection, right? Being told no is an acronym for next opportunity. It isn't.
Wait, hold it. Wait. You running too fast.
Sorry.
Being, wait a minute, I ain't never heard it that way. Rewind that. Being told no, start from there and come
Okay,
back with
I got
that.
I got you. Being told no is just an acronym for next opportunity, right? So it's not a stop sign, right? You're just being redirected. You're just being shifted in a different direction. And I like to say that that direction that you're being shifted in is actually the path that you're supposed to be on. So that apparent rejection or that apparent no is actually shifting you to where you actually should be, right? So we shouldn't be moved by appearances, right? The things that the way that things might seem on the external. We have to trust the process. As long as we are doing our part, right? What is within our control to as we are in pursuit of our goals or the things that we want, then the rejection or the apparent rejection rather is just redirecting us to where we actually need to be to get to where we want to be.
Wow, that is powerful. Let me dial back for just a second, then I'm going to come back.
All right.
Woo! Deborah has a question about affirmation, Anthony. She says, what affirmation would you give to someone with mental illness that has a negative self concept?
So I would first assess where that negative self concept came from. And then I would also want to determine how debilitating is it? You know, is it a physical appearance that this person is not confident about? Is it their level of intelligence that they may not be the most confident in? Right. But some affirmations that I would say is anything that is going to help empower the individual looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself that you love yourself, telling yourself that you are beautiful, telling yourself that you are intelligent. But Cynthia, so that's just one way to impress your subconscious, right? To increase the believability. There's also we are on the plane of demonstration, right? This 3D world in which we exist in is the plane of demonstration, and so therefore we have to take some sort of action to get what we want. So if this person has a negative self-concept, then they might have to change certain things, think things about themselves, ways of being, in order to increase that self-concept, right? The way in which they view themselves, whether that means changing up their hair, whether that means getting braces, whether that means hitting the gym, right? But there does have to be a level of action involved that we are responsible for if we want to see any changes or improvement in our lives.
I love that. I love that. And one thing that I love that you said at the very beginning, which I am a huge advocate of, is determine what is the root issue. Because so often we try to deal with situations or we try to solve, if you will, problems, and we're looking at what I call symptoms, but we're seeing the symptoms of a deeper root issue, if that's making any sense. And I'm the one that I always want to get to the root, because with us as human beings, and when we're dealing with other human beings and we see someone displaying a particular behavior that may be affecting us negatively, most of the time we want to clap back at the person,
Yeah.
because we're like, you coming for me, I didn't call you, you coming for me, so let me get with you. But what I'm learning as I get older and more mature, that as the saying goes, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
No, it's no excuse, because we all have a certain level of hurt, if you will. But what I try to do is consider, like, whatever caused them to come for me, it's deeper than them just wanting to come for me. First of all, If I know I didn't do anything, that's not my problem. That's their issue.
Yeah.
So I said all that to say, I think it's so important that we deal with roots. Like you said, where is this coming from? First of all, why is this person feeling the way they're feeling? Let's dig down into that and figure that out. And then secondly, then if there is something that needs to happen for us to be able to help our concept of ourself, or how we see ourselves, if you will, a better word, then
Mhm.
whether we need to change our hairstyle, or whether we need to change, do something with our dental work, whatever it is that we need to do. And there are certain things that we may not be able to do, but there are certain things that we are able to do. Deborah seems to be giving a specific example, saying that this is a college dropout and currently unemployed. What can a person who is a college dropout, unemployed, and I'm assuming that this person is dealing with some mental wellness issues, Deborah, what type of affirmation would you say to speak specifically to that person that's in that category, Anthony?
Okay. A college dropout and they are unemployed and they are also experiencing some mental health concerns, correct?
I believe that is so. If you can confirm that, Deborah, I believe that's so. Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
Okay. So some affirmations that could fit that could be, I am not my education. I am more than my education. I will receive the job right for me. My job doesn't determine my worthiness. That's what comes to mind currently, Cynthia.
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
But I do want to touch on something that you were sharing as well when it comes to, the way that people treat us. One thing that we know about the way that people treat us is that it has more to do with them than it does us. Just as you were expressing, hurt people hurt people. And so a kind person, right? A person who has kindness in their heart, they aren't going to treat someone in their external world unkind. But a person who has hate in their heart, that is what's going to be projected onto this screen of space. That is what's going to be squeezed out of them, right? So, yes, we know that the way that people treat us has more to do with them than it does us. And so I believe that Don Miguel Ruiz, he has this book called The Four Agreements. And one of the agreements that I believe that really just stand true is not to take things personally, whether it's something positive that someone tells us or something negative, right? Not to take it personally. We can accept it for what it is, but we do not have to internalize it, because we know that the very people speaking highly of us when we're in their good graces will speak negatively of us when we aren't, right? And so we shouldn't take either of it personally. We can accept it for what it is, but it's more so what we believe and how we feel about ourselves that matters the most.
Very good. And I gotta address something that you said. You said whether they're speaking highly of you, paraphrasing, or
Mhm.
whether they're speaking lowly of you. Either way, don't take it personally. Tread lightly, because the same. Just let me use this example. Y'all know I'm a minister, so I'm always gonna have to bring a little preach up in here.
Go.
One day they were saying about Jesus. They were saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, save us, we know. And then the next day they were saying, the next moment they were saying, crucify that joker, crucify him.
You
So,
know?
exactly. So you have to take people with a grain of salt. And I love, for a long time, Anthony, I did not understand. And I'm talking about a very long time. And if I can be honest, I'm just not understanding, not taking it personally. Because I'm like, no, it was personally to me. So I'm taking it personally. I didn't understand that. But now I can honestly say I understand and I am good. But guess what? The reason why I couldn't understand it, because I was coming from a place where I was not mentally well, if you will, in certain areas. And speaking of that, a question just came to my mind, and I'm just going to go with it. A question just came to my mind. Is it possible for you to be, and I might be putting you on the spot here, but I think you got me. Is it possible for a person to be mentally well in one portion of their life or brain and not mentally well? And you understand what I'm saying? Can mental wellness and mental unwellness commingle?
Well, I believe so, right? There are law of polarities, which means that for one thing to be true, its opposite must also be true. But when we think about us as human beings, we're multifaceted, right? We're complex, right? We're versatile, we're diverse. And so, yes, when we think about, again, our different life domains and how we are showing up in the world, we have work, we have personal, we have relationships, right? We're sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, grandparents, right? And so yes, there is ways for us to be well in certain domains and areas of our life and need improvement in others. I think the both of them can coexist. But I just think that speaks to us being imperfect human beings and constantly needing improvement.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I love that because, and I often will because I don't care. I use myself as an example and a joke that I tell. The about my book.
Yeah.
Obviously, the title of my book is "Crazy Didn't Get Me: Preparation for My Destiny," and the book was written as a result of being one of four siblings, the youngest and the only girl, and
Okay.
all of my older brothers were affected by severe mental illness. My oldest brother was bipolar, died
Mhm.
by suicide. My middle brother is schizophrenic, has been missing for over 2 decades, 23 plus years to be exact. And my youngest brother is schizophrenic and has been institutionalized in a facility for the criminally insane for the past 36 years. So I
Wow.
am very, very familiar with mental illness, but thus the title of my book, Crazy Didn't Get Me. But I always tell people, depending on what day you catch me on, you might see a little crazy.
Yeah.
So, most days I'm pretty sane. Most
Mhm.
days I'm hanging in there. But like I said, you catch me on the wrong day and you come at me in the real wrong way, I might go straight to the left and
Mhm.
you'll see something that you probably wouldn't want to see. But for the most part, like you said, I'm pretty balanced. My mental well being is pretty intact because I have made up my mind. First of all, from the experience that I had, some say, well, you're a girl, so maybe it was in the male genes and maybe that's why I didn't get you. But what I'm very careful about is because I don't know about all of that. I don't believe everything that science says. I'm just going to be totally honest. I'm not so completely out on science. So I make sure that I'm doing things to keep my mental well-being intact. And we were talking about that, I believe, before we came on, that it's paramount, it's imperative that we do that. So speak to that about what are some things that we need to be doing to be making sure that we're keeping our head together.
We need to be practicing self-care. We need to be ensuring that our glass is not only full, but it's overflowing so we can pour into others, right? We need to be being mindful of the content, the information, and everything else that we are consuming because it has an impact on us, whether we're conscious of it or not. So we really have to be mindful about what we are allowing into our orbit, into our realm of being, because it is going to have an impact on us. And, I think the most easiest example to use is food, right? We easily know when some food has negatively impacted us, right? You eat a bad, I don't know, fish sandwich, or you eat some raw sushi and you find that you have a stomach ache. You know exactly where that stomach ache came from, right? It's something that you consumed, and it had a negative effect on you. And those effects are evident and obvious. But it may not be so evident and obvious when it comes to the content that you're watching or the music that you're listening to, right? We may think it's so innocent and it has no real effect on us and how we are showing up in the world. But it does, because everything that we consume has an impact on us. So, in order to really be whole, we do have to be mindful about what it is that we're consuming, right? I also talk about self-care and pouring into ourselves, making sure that our cup is not only full but overflowing. If our cup is full, that means we have just enough for us, right? If our cup is overflowing, that means we have enough for the people in our lives. And so if we are consistently running on E, right? Just working, no breaks, not taking any vacation time, not utilizing our PTO, then we might find that we're leading our lives on autopilot and we don't necessarily feel fulfilled. We're just operating out of routine and habit. But when we take a moment to ourselves to fill our cup, to pour into us, that could be in big or small ways, right? Taking a mental health day from work, taking a vacation, going shopping, eating at our favorite restaurant. We find that we are a little bit more fulfilled. We find that we are adding a balance to our lives. Again, I think it is about a balance, right? We're not just going to be on this upward trajectory of feeling good all of the time. I think that's a bit unrealistic to expect, right? But we do want to add a bit of balance into our lives by doing some things that make us who we are, that allow us to actually enjoy this lived experience here on earth, you know? So not just being so serious and uptight, but allowing ourselves to live a little bit. I think that could be helpful.
Well, you stepped on my toes just now when you talked about being so serious and uptight. I'm just now at this point in my life, I just turned 64 last Friday. But
Happy belated.
for thank you.
Yeah.
I was always that one that, but check this out. I was always that one that it ain't funny to me. Because you know why? Because growing up in my household wasn't funny. So
Right.
nothing else was funny as I continued on in life. It
Mhm.
just wasn't funny. And it was very hard for me to laugh. I mean, it could be could be sitting there watching a comedian with somebody else in the room and they just be rolling all over the floor. And I'm just sitting there like, they're like, what is wrong with you? And
Yeah.
I'm like, they ain't funny to me. Ain't nothing
Right.
funny. But they were funny, but because I was so accustomed to not laughing, I just couldn't laugh. I just couldn't. But I want to go back to something that you said, and I'm glad you came back around and you elaborate on it because I love what you said about your glass not being full, but overflowing. Because if your glass is just full, then you have just enough for yourself. But if your glass is overflowing, you have something to extend to someone else. I think that is so profound because we're always talking about the glass being, well, make sure you're pouring from a full glass, but you just said something, bro. You took that up a notch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to steal that. I'm gonna give you the credit the first time, but after that, it's mine.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah, I love that. And then you talked about, and this is one of my favorites right here. This is one of my all-time favorites, and I believe this is why. This is one of the reasons why I have been able to maintain my sanity, if you will. When you talked about watching what we are consuming, that's a big one for me, Anthony. That
Mhm.
always has been a big one for me. I am very, 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 very particular about what enters my eye gates and what enters my ear gates.
Yeah.
And I will put it on stop. I'll put it on block in a minute, because if it's not conducive to my growth and to my well-being, I don't want to see it and I don't want to hear it. I remember when I was a lot younger, and when I say a lot younger, I mean in my adult years, because
Mhm.
I'm,
Yeah,
older
I got
now.
you.
So when I was in, I'll say my 20s, early 30s, I
Yeah.
used to love, let me say up to those years, because it started early.
Mhm.
I loved horror movies. The grimier, the scarier,
Mhm.
the bloodier, the
Mhm.
gorier, the better for me.
Right.
If I started watching it and it wasn't didn't have me under the covers, it wasn't scary enough. And over the years, when I got into my probably late 30s, it dawned on me, Cynthia, are you serious? Why you watching this stuff? And then
Mhm.
you scared to go to bed.
Mhm.
You scared to walk to the bathroom in the dark because you looking back, thinking something is back there. But then
Yeah.
the next day you get up and you do it all over again. What is that? But for me, see, again, just like I couldn't laugh at
Mhm.
comedians, I was used to blood and gore and all of that. So
Yep.
that's what I was craving, because
Yep.
that's the kind of household that I grew up in. People popping off every 5 minutes, fights breaking out, folks getting thrown across tables and all of that. So that's what I lived out when I watched, movies or what have you. But as I got older, I realized, as far as cultivating a positive mindset and being able to thrive in my mental well-being, that was not working for me. So I
No.
had to change that.
Well, absolutely, right? They say that what you tune into, you turn into. And so,
Mm.
especially in our culture, Cynthia, we think about some of our forms of entertainment, right? The reality shows on all of these different networks, right? We really want to question why why is black people fighting black people entertaining? Why is people showcasing their problems entertaining, right? Why is that entertainment to us? So yes, we see these reality shows, these women being catty, men being catty. What we tune into, we we turn into. It has a direct effect on us. Again, it may not be obvious or evident, but it will manifest, you know.
Wow. There goes another one that I'm going to use, and I'm going to give you the credit the first time, and after that is mine. What you tune into. I mean, I've heard, you can use other terms that I've heard, other phrases to that parallels this, but you're saying it differently.
Mhm.
What you tune into, you turn into. And like you said, we wonder why, we're watching certain types of shows on TV, and we're wondering why we're acting it out in real life, because
Mhm.
that's what we're tuning into. So what we're tuning into, we're turning into.
Mhm.
One of the things that comes to my mind it seems to be, and this is so weird. This is so weird, and I know that it's the will, but I need you to speak to this and see if we can help somebody.
Yeah.
Why does it seem like it's so easy for people to think on the negative side versus thinking positive? It's like you get into this negative thing and you just go all in. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you got this whole positive side over here that you just left over there. This
Mhm.
whole positive side that can put you in a better headspace, but you choose to dwell on the negative. What is that all about, Anthony? What is
I
that all
do
about?
I do think it has to do with our programming and our conditioning. Again, I am under the belief that we are born sort of as clean slates, And part of it's that nature and nurture debate, right? I do think it's a combination of both, how we were raised, the beliefs and values that were instilled in us, and also how we were socialized, right? The schools that we went to, our peers, right? Our environment that we grew up in, it has an impact on us. And so when it comes to just looking for problems, constantly seeing problems, we have this need or desire to see what's wrong. But the reason why we have this need or desire to see what's wrong is so we can fix it. But you don't fix something by looking at the problem. You don't fix something by looking at what's wrong. If you're in debt, your focus can't be on being in debt. Your focus has to be on making more money, right? So you have to shift. It's a mindset shift, Cynthia, right? We cannot be focused on our problems, but naturally we are. And so I think that it involves a level of education. Nobody is teaching us that we can't be solely focused on our problems. We have to shift the focus to a solution for the problem, right? If we want to see any resolve. What we know in psychology is that whatever we focus on grows. So if you find yourself in debt and that's where your focus is, you might find yourself with consistent money problems. But if you shift the focus to making more money, you will find money making opportunities. They will be presented to you, right? So, speaking to that, what you focus on grows concept. There's this part of our brain called the reticular activating system, and is located at the base of our brain. And the reticular activating system's function is essentially to act as a filter, and it filters in what it believes, or filters in what it believes to be important to us. In a way that it knows what's important is by what it is that we are consistently focusing on. So the reticular activating system is responsible for why we're able to hear our name being called in a noisy crowd, or for why when we purchase a new car, we see that car on the road as if it was mass produced, right? That's the function of the reticular activating system. We've shifted our focus to this particular thing, our name, this car that we desire, or this car that we just bought. And now it's showing up everywhere. Was it mass produced? No, it's always been there. Well, what happened? You changed your focus. You changed what you were thinking about. It's on your mind. It's growing, right? So now your reticular activating system is just showing you more of that. So we want to train our reticular activating system through thinking about our desired outcome, thinking about what's ideal to us. And again, it's the repetition that has an impact on the subconscious mind. The more that we're thinking about these things, the more it's going to impress the subconscious, the more we're training our reticular activating system that it's important, the more that we're going to see it, the more that it's going to show up in our lives. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes, it did. And I absolutely love that, because we really have to, and you mentioned somewhat of that, we really have to, in my own words, we have to start helping people to retrain the way they think and what they focus on. As you were saying, if you need money, the thing is, God has placed everything within us that we need to get what we need. And as my pastor always says, he ain't going to give it to you and bring it to you. You
Right.
got to go get it.
You know?
you got to do something. You got to go get it. And the seed, the ability for us to be fruitful and multiply. When we talk about being fruitful and multiply, people always think about, you're talking about babies. No, no. We need to be fruitful and multiply in whatever area in our lives we need multiplication. And the
Right.
seed is within us to be able to do that. So as you were saying, rather than focus on, if you need money, you got bills, rather than focus on, well, I need money, I don't have money, I can't pay my bills, then focus on what can I do to generate the income? What can I, which one of these gifts and talents that I have can I utilize to generate some income? Shift that focus.
Yes.
Shift that focus. And I know what you're saying to be true because it's happened in my life. With me, for some reason, even though I was raised in what you would consider a very negative environment with all the
Mm.
mental health stuff going on, but
Yeah.
I've always been a very positive person.
Okay.
I I've never been a negative person. Never in my life was that how you would describe me. And I am so glad. I think I'm very fortunate and I'm very blessed. And even to this day, any of my friends, anybody that knows me know that if you say something and it's like not in alignment with positivity, I'm gonna stop you and I'm gonna correct them. Like, no, we need to flip that. We need to switch that. Because it's so important that we maintain that positivity. There's
Right.
so it's amazing how, like I said earlier, but I'm so glad that you spoke to that. It's just so amazing how people tend to just get in that negative place and they want to sit there. But instead, I want to encourage everyone to flip that thing. Life is too short. Life is too short. And like you said early on in the very beginning of the segment, things are going to happen.
Mhm.
Life is going to be lifing.
For
We
sure.
already know that. So what you going to do? What you going to do when life comes for you?
Mhm.
Because life is going to be lifing. And it is up to us to make sure that we position ourselves to not allow the lifing of life to drag us down into a deep dark hole.
Exactly. We can't be victims. We have to do our part. We must do our part. Essentially, it is our responsibility. No one is going to come save us. And so it's okay to not be okay at times, but we cannot soak in that. We cannot stay there, right? Because life is going to continue. Life is going to go on. So we do have to take responsibility for ourselves and do our part, right? What's within our control? That's all that we're responsible for. And if that means taking a baby step a day at a time, then if that's what's within your control, then that's what you do. That's what you're responsible for. But yes, we do have to do our part and we cannot be victims because the world will pass us by and we'll just be sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves.
Exactly. And I love it when you said about, if we have to take baby steps, because so many people think that stuff is just going to happen overnight. I'm going to be here today and then tomorrow my whole mindset is going to be totally different. No, if you've been living with a certain mindset
Mhm.
all of your life or for a certain length of time, just like with anything else, just like with a diet or anything else, when you decide to make a change, this thing is not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. And for one, it's not going to happen overnight. So you got to be in it for the long haul. And like you said, number two, take baby steps. So many times, I think we even add more duress on ourselves when we know that there are changes that need to be made in our lives. And we think that we just need to just jump in it with both feet. And you have some people, they can jump into something with both feet. They can take that bull by the horns and they can wrestle it down to the ground and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
got it,
Yeah.
but then everybody's not like that. We're all built differently. So if you have to take baby steps, I mean, who's judging you? You don't work. I ain't work. Listen, I'm trying to maintain my sanity, and I
Mhm.
ain't worried about what Susie, Sally, Joe, Jack, and Jim got to say about what's going on over here. You
Exactly.
know, yeah. So we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. And Everybody, please like, share, tag somebody. We're here with the brilliant, I'm going to say it every time, Anthony Joshua, and he's talking to us about how we can use a positive mindset for our mental well-being. Again, the mind is so powerful. We have to always remember that, people. The mind is very powerful, and it can be powerful either to the negative or to the positive. You get to choose which direction you want that power to flow. So when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. See you in a minute. Hey y'all, we are back with the phenomenal, the brilliant, the outstanding, the one and only Anthony Joshua, and we're talking about that mindset and how we can use the power of our mindset for our mental well-being. And as we were doing the commercial break, I was actually looking at the one segment where these healthcare professionals were comforting an individual who just was seemingly, he had just completely lost it. He just had completely lost it. Anthony, something occurred to me when I was watching that, and I thought to myself, when you talk about the power of a positive mindset, that's something, or is it not, that only you can control? Or how important, or how can support play a role in how you position your mind, if that makes sense? Is that something that's just totally only you can deal with, or can outside influences, how can they be supportive, and can they help when it comes to cultivating a positive mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that others can assist and support with a positive mindset for us, right? Other belief in self, I think, is the most powerful. But someone else believing in us also can increase our level of confidence as well, our level of certainty also. So when we are in a low vibrational state, it is good to seek out support, whether that's from a friend, family member, or a mental health professional, right? So, again, we are wired for connection. So, other people assisting us, finding our tribe for support can be helpful in increasing our mindset, increasing our confidence, increasing our self worth, and how we feel about ourselves. I definitely think that that is a thing for sure.
That's good. That's good. And one of the things, and I'm glad that you said that, because like I said, it dawned on me, is this something that, you know, I and only I can cultivate, can and so yeah, I like what you said, because when you have outside influences that are positive and they're supporting you and they're throwing you words of affirmation, I can see how that can assist in you being able to grab hold to a
Mhm.
positive mindset. Speak to Anthony, speak to, okay, you're already dealing with the mindset that is not so positive. Let's just flip it for just a second. So
Yep.
you're dealing with the mindset that's not so positive. Your mental well-being is not good, just because it's just not, for whatever reason. And you just keep having challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge piling on top of you, and you get in this spiral, this downward spiral, and it seems like you just can't come out of it. What are some strategies that can help a person that may be in that type of situation, and you feel like you're just spiraling out of control, and I don't care what anybody says, I've tried my best, I tried to tell my mind to think positive, and it's just not happening, and I got all of the life is lifing again. How can you start pulling yourself out of it?
So, again, what we know is that life is gonna life. It's not always gonna go as we plan it. We are gonna have, quote unquote, bad days, but even again, a bad day is a perspective, it's a lens at which we're looking through, right? When it comes to that spiral, or that the mindset, having a negative or bad mindset, and then it being projected onto our screen of space, us finding ourselves in situations or circumstances that are less than ideal, that we're unhappy with. It's like, well, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Cognitive behavioral therapy is an evidence-based practice in the field of mental health. And so what that means is it's been proven scientifically to provide results. Cognitive behavioral therapy, it relies on the premise that our thoughts influence how we feel, and our feelings influence our actions or our behaviors. And so that's an evidence-based practice. Metaphysics is also a modality that I use in my work. Metaphysics is an ideology or a belief system about reality and how it works. And it says that our thought world is projected onto this 3D screen of space, and this is what we are experiencing as life. So if internally we're in a rage, we're experiencing negative self-worth, negative self-worth, we are having negative self-talk, we might find that being projected or pushed out onto this screen of space. We might find ourselves in less than ideal situations. We might find ourselves experiencing hardships. So at its root, we have to change that internal dialogue, that internal voice, the conversations that we're having with ourselves, because we have more conversations with ourselves than we do with anyone else throughout the course of a given day. Again, it's a small step that has a big effect over the course of time. If we've been wired or programmed or conditioned to just be negative, to look at everything that is going wrong in our lives, we are going to have a difficult, but it's still possible. We're going to have a difficult time shifting that negative self-talk to positive self-talk. But again, there are tools such as affirmations to interrupt some of that negative self-talk that we have throughout the course of our day, to intentionally feed ourselves positively, right? Doing it on purpose. because about 90% of our self-talk, it's unconscious. So sometimes, most times, we don't even know that we're being cruel to ourselves. We don't even know that we're beating ourselves up. But again, if our thoughts influence how we feel, then we are putting ourselves in a low vibrational state with that negative self talk, and it's unbeknownst to us. We might not even be aware of it. And then how we think influences how we feel, but how we feel influences our actions or behaviors. And so now we're in this low vibration, we're in this funk, and that's going to determine how we navigate the world, right? What actions we take, what decisions we make, how we are responding to the circumstances that we're presented with, right? What's happening around us. So I would say, for starters, start by feeding yourself positivity. Change the way that you're talking to yourself. If you wouldn't say it to someone else, don't say it to yourself. You know, I would say start there.
I love it. I love it. If you wouldn't say it to someone else, don't say it to yourself.
Mhm. You know, it's important. It's very important. But Cynthia, no one's teaching us this stuff, right? We don't learn this in school unless you're, a troubled child or a bit problematic, causing disturbances in the classroom, and you got to get sent to the social worker at the school, right? Then you might embark on some of this information. But otherwise, you're not necessarily learning it throughout your day to day. And so we're just operating how we know how to operate. And that's what's unfolding our lives. But sometimes it's not serving us. And so there does come a point in our lives when we have to really check and correct ourselves. Is the way that we've been believing, right, our beliefs, our values, do those continue to serve us with where we're at currently, with where we plan to be in the future? And if the answer is no, then we do have to make a change, and that change has to be intentional. The thing about change, though, Cynthia, is that seldom is it voluntary. We're usually forced into change. Think about people who are in toxic relationships. Think about people who work jobs that they hate. They may not switch positions until they're fired or they're laid off or they get embarrassed at work, right? Or in a relationship setting, they are in an abusive relationship and they are, maybe on their deathbed due to domestic violence, right? But seldom is change voluntary. We could find ourselves in these very uncomfortable situations and still not change because at least it's predictable. At least we know what to expect. When we shift from that normalcy, that normal way of being, we step into the unknown, right? And the unknown is uncertain, right? I like to say that the unknown, the future really is this 1,000-foot wall that we cannot see behind. And typically we are viewing it through a lens of pessimism. We don't necessarily look at the changes that we can make through a positive lens. We're usually fearful of those changes. But I like to say, because the future hasn't happened yet, it's filled with endless opportunities. The very thing
Mm.
that we, the very thing that we don't want, that's a possibility. Yes, it can happen, right? The thing that we're fearful of, the thing that we don't want to occur. But the very thing that we do want can also happen. It's also a possibility. So why can't we look at change? Why can't we look at future through that lens of optimism? Right? Why can't we focus on the very thing that we do want happening and taking place in the future if we are to make these changes voluntarily? It's a mindset shift that has to take place, but it also has to do with belief in self. And that's why what we believe about ourselves is what matters most. It's nice for others to believe in us, but we can't really rely on that. We can't put too much stock in that. We have to believe in ourselves, right? Speaking of belief, belief is so powerful. Have you heard of the placebo effect?
Yes.
Right? So a placebo it's a sham, right? It has no healing properties. It has no, what's the word I'm looking for? Active ingredients. And so it's the belief, right? So there's been several studies done with placebos where people have reported healing based off giving a sugar pill, right? The sugar pill was just, it was a sham, but they were told that it would cause this healing. It would have this positive effect. And the people who took it typically reported positive results. But this thing didn't have any healing properties. It wasn't actually doing anything. But because they believed it would, they believed they would get better, they reported positive effects. So it's really, it speaks to the power of belief in ourselves. That's what it comes down to. We have to believe in ourselves that what we want, we're worthy of, that what we want, we're capable of achieving. And once we have that belief, that's going to influence our actions, right? Because I believe I can, therefore I will, therefore I do. I'm going to take the necessary steps to pursue it. But the person who doesn't even believe won't even start. They won't even begin that process of change because they don't believe it. A wise man once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. you know?
And that is so true. I love that example that you used about the placebo effect. And it is so true. They're given something that has no healing properties, nothing, but because there's that word, they believe
Mhm.
that it was going to help.
Yeah.
They felt better. The power of the mindset and
Mhm.
believing. That is that is powerful. This, man, I could just go on and on and on and on. I could listen to you all night long, but I know we don't got all night. So as we reach the end, and I can't believe we're here already.
Yeah.
We first of all want to thank everybody for joining us, and of course, as always, we look forward to connecting with you again in our next episode. But before we wrap up, Anthony, please just share some parting words of wisdom. And I mean, you've already dropped so many golden nuggets, but I know you got some more in you, so I don't feel like I'm imposing. So please share some parting words of wisdom and encouragement with our audience. And if you have any services or products that you currently provide, please let our audience know about those and the best way to get in touch with you.
Okay. So, I recognize that life can come with its challenges. Life is a journey, it has its ups and downs. And so we do have to appreciate the entire journey. What is happiness if we're unable to experience sadness? What is joy if we're unable to experience some difficulties or challenges in life? So it is about having a balance. And in that balance, we do have to appreciate everything that comes with it. Where we are currently is what we have created. And if we find ourselves in a situation that we're unhappy with, we do have to take responsibility for that. It is something that we've created, but there's hope because it also means that we can create something that's more ideal. We can create the life that we actually want, that we actually desire. So I am a life coach. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I can be reached at my website, www.mentalwealthcoaching.com. I'm actually on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is at Mental Wealth Coach. The wealth is WLTH. And I do have some products. I have these t-shirts, Mental Wealth Coaching, part of my brand. On the back of it, there's a slogan, you are your greatest investment. I do believe that you are your greatest investment. In addition to that, I do have an ebook, Day 1 Looks Different Than Day 30. It is available at the link in my bio on my social media platforms, as well as on my website.
Whew, I tell you, this has been absolutely powerful. You all, you have heard it from the mental wellness coach himself, Anthony Joshua, talking about cultivating a positive mindset for our mental well being. And as we bring this episode of How Well Are You, the talk show, to a close, remember that when you're cultivating a positive mindset, or should I say that cultivating a powerful or positive mindset is not only crucial for our mental wellness, but it's also the power to transform our lives. And by embracing optimism, practicing self compassion, and Anthony talked about all these things, and nurturing a resilient spirit, we can navigate life's challenges with grace. When life be lifing, we can navigate it and we can find that inner peace that we deserve. So let's continue to prioritize our mental well being. And not only that, but support one another and strive for a brighter, more positive future. And again, we want to express our heartfelt appreciation to Anthony Joshua for coming on and sharing these invaluable insights surrounding our topic. And we so appreciate your expertise, Anthony. And this has been How Well Are You, the talk show, where we are dedicated to erasing the stigma surrounding mental illness. Yes, one episode at a time. We're also coming off of World Mental Health Day. I'm Cynthia Mobley Howell, concluding for the time being. And remember, keep smiling, stay positive, and take care of your minds. And as I always say, peace, love, and blessings.